Jason, I see you have been described as the employee whisperer.
Yes.
Please tell us who you are and give us just a little bit of a background.
Yeah, no worries. So, Jason Greer, I'm the founder and president of Greer Consulting Inc., which is an employee and labor relations consulting firm based in the United States. I'm blessed to say that we're in the top 5% of labor and employee relations consultants in the country. And it's been an incredible journey. I got started in 2005, basically with a $100 loan from my parents to get my business started. And we've since grown to the point where we service everything from Fortune 100 companies all the way to small mom and pops. Anybody that's dealing with any type of employee relations concerns, as well as diversity concerns, is what we do. So it's been a blast. So that's what we do.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. That's a real story. And that's where I want to start.
Awesome.
Um, if you have to give a secret to your success, what has that been?
The secret to my success is recognizing how little I actually control. And when I say recognizing how little I actually control, it's I learned quickly because I've had some fantastic mentors, that the one thing that I could always control was my mindset. So, and I'm not talking about sort of the hustle culture mindset that's so prevalent, but really a mindset of I know what I do well and I know what I don't do well. What I do well, I want to continue doing that and I want to 10x that. But I don't do well, well, especially starting out, I didn't necessarily have the money to offload those things, but I had some great relationships. And what I would generally tell people is, I just need you to believe in me, because if you believe in me, this is going to pay off for us. So, blessedly, I was able to surround myself with people who were really good at the things that I was not good at, which allowed me to essentially excel at the things that I do well. In terms of that skill set, that is, I listen with the best of them. I process quickly. I'm very good at getting people to open up because I understand empathy. I understand how to read nonverbals. And I generally tell people that my first language is actually nonverbals. My second language is everything that's coming out of your mouth, right? But ultimately, once I learned how to control my mindset and to stay in my lane from that perspective, I just really started to see my business as well as my life as a whole just flourish.
That's absolutely amazing. And in terms of how it sounds like there's two elements coming through there, apart from the mindset, is really you've refined your process,
Yes.
and you've really got good at focus.
Yes. If you don't mind my adding something, really, it's everything. What you just said, it's understanding the mindset as well as it's focusing. Like, especially as entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you know this, you're inundated every day from emails, text messages, networking events with anybody and everybody who's telling you, man, if you subscribe to this, if you do this, if you do that, I'm going to make your life that much better. And I can't tell you how much money I've spent on things that didn't work. Right. But I learned quickly to fail fast, because when you fail fast, you learn something along those lines. Something my father has said, and I live by this quote, it's actually the motto of my company, is that people will work for money and they'll die for respect and they'll die for recognition. Once I really absorbed that motto, then I started to build my business around how can we go about helping other businesses, helping our clients, come to a place where they can respect their employees, where they can recognize their employees, and understanding that how you want to be respected is different than how I want to be respected. How you want to be recognized is different than how I want to be recognized. But helping them to understand that every person has a story within your organization, and then maximizing that story, and then bringing that story in such a way that is helping you to maximize the overall vision of your company. So really, it's mindfulness, it's focus, and it's understanding that your failure is really a lesson learned as long as you're willing and humble enough to learn it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. Thank you.
Thank
What
you.
do you think is the number one challenge of businesses that are trying to scale?
Oh, ego. Because the vast majority of businesses that, when you look at the founders all the way to, I don't care if you're an Apple, I don't care if you're whatever, name the company. There's something that caused the founders of Apple, there's something that caused the founders of, your clients to get started. But when they look at scaling, and I had to learn this, and that's why I can, answer it so quickly in terms of ego. We have this belief that if I scale, I have to be involved in every phase of that scale. No, you don't. You were the one that created the vision. You were the one that brought it to the table. Thank God for you. But that's when you need to get other people and need to get other systems involved to help you to scale your business up. And I tell people this, if I could go back in time, I would not have named my business Greer Consulting Inc. I named my business Greer Consulting Inc. because I didn't think I would have more than 2 clients a year. I just need to be able to pay my mortgage. I need to be able to pay my car note. That's all I cared about. But in naming my business Greer Consulting, one of the things that happened, especially when we went from no clients to well over 60 clients that we service over the course of a year, people started to get confused, especially in the beginning, between, okay, if it's Greer Consulting, your last name is Greer, am I just getting you or am I getting other people? And so what I had to do in terms of scaling was to begin to take myself out of the process and introduce my clients and potential clients to my new consultants, to my back office, so that they understood that even though the business is called Greer Consulting, there is an entire team of consultants, there's an entire network and operation behind the name. So I think one of the biggest things in terms of scaling is understanding I have got to get my ego out of the way. I have to get my feelings out of the way. And I have to understand that just because I have the idea does not mean that I have to be the one that has to carry the vision all the way through.
That's super relevant. And we hear that from clients all the time.
Yes.
But then that brings me to the next question is, okay, so I'm an entrepreneur. I recognize I need to scale beyond myself. Okay, now what? How?
I will tell you what I did. I had to ask myself that exact same question. I recognize that I want to scale. I recognize that I want to grow. What do I do next? And this is where humility comes in because I was humble enough to ask myself that question. What do I do next? Because I recognize I can't carry this by myself. What I will tell people, if you have $100 million, it's easier to scale than if you only have $100 like I had. So what I generally tell people is this: you might not have a lot of liquid capital, but what you do have is the ability to speak to other people. It's the ability to go out and to potentially network with people. Look, the internet is a beautiful thing and it's a scary thing, but I'm going to talk about the beautiful thing about the internet. The beautiful thing about the internet is there is tons and tons of free information and free content. So what I tell people is this: first, understand where you are, understand why you want to scale, because there are some businesses that are not designed to scale.
Mm.
There are some business owners that are completely fine with where they are. You ready for this? There is nothing wrong with it because not everybody needs to be a 7 figure or 8 figure or 9 figure business. Some people's sole focus in this world is to be able to bake the best bread ever for their block, for their neighborhood.
Okay.
That's success. Whereas there are other people whose, their ambition is to conquer the world. If that's your ambition is to conquer the world, understand that conquering the world means that you need people and environments around you in order to get there. So use the gift of gab in terms of your ability to speak to people, to network. Use the gift of the internet to research. I'm a big fan of journaling. Consistently ask yourself this one simple question: why am I scaling? And that question is then followed by another question: who is this for? Which is then followed by another question: is this my ego or is this my purpose? Because if it's your ego runs out. But if it's your purpose never leaves you because your purpose is always going to make a way for you to fulfill it, because that's what the purpose of the purpose is. A purpose wants to be fulfilled and it will continue to open those doors for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the point you highlighted there is that, you know, there is a lot of free, really great information out there. So
Yes.
I think when entrepreneurs think about spreading information beyond themselves and transferring wisdom to their teams, they get a little overwhelmed and they suddenly think that they're going to have to sit down and write everything or create all the content. And that's not necessarily the case.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
and something else I love that you said is that I think if you transmit the purpose of the business and then you empower your teams with a few simple resources, that's actually a great recipe for scaling. Okay, tell us your one experience where you stepped into a client and you witnessed a profound change. What was it about that experience that really kept inspiring you on your mission?
Oh, great question. My first client, I got lucky. I'm not even going to say that I got lucky. I'm going to say that I've been blessed, right? And my first client legitimately set the stage for the rest of my career. And when I say my first client, I'm talking about Brandywine Senior Living. It was owned by a woman by the name of Brenda Bacon, and CEO. I call her my matriarch because she was the first person that, up to that point, I was doing a lot of subcontractual work. She was the first person to legitimately look at me after I started my business to legitimately say to me, "You are going to be so much bigger than this moment. I need you to believe in yourself the way that I instinctively believe in you." So I went to work for her, and she had acquired two facilities out in New York City. And, they were a New Jersey based company that had assisted living and senior care. They're big in the senior care industry. And they had a bunch of facilities out in the Pennsylvania area, on the Delaware area. They didn't really know New York City. And New York City, as I'm sure you know, is a completely different beast, not just from a regulatory standpoint, but also in terms of your employees, in terms of your customers, those kinds of things. I went into her two facilities and there were all kinds of issues. But I had a client who trusted me not only to tell them the truth, but a client who trusted me to help guide them out of the current dumpster fire. And what I saw was through the power of collaboration, because I'm meeting with her employees. I'm trying to get to understand her employees. I'm building rapport with her employees. And instinctively, when I built those the rapports with her employees, that was also building a bridge between her and between those employees and Brenda. I saw these organizations go from, you're talking engagement scores, employee engagement scores, maybe really 55%. And over the course of 8 months, we went from 55% to 80%. And that 80% went to over 97% in terms of employees feeling like they were taken care of, feeling like they were rooted in the mission of the organization, and feeling like the organization really cared about them. We started English as second language courses. We helped people get their GEDs. We legitimately helped people go back to college. We saw people who were line level staff who had aspired to become managers, supervisors, and managers. And we watched all these internal promotions happening. That was an example of, and blessedly, it was my first client. So again, that set the stage for what would be my career of having that type of collaboration where I was not just, coming in and trying to bill a bunch of hours as a consultant, but I was coming in because I truly believed in the mission of the organization and the organization believed in me. So we saw the elevation of the lives of so many people, but in the process, I was elevated, not just professionally, but elevated personally, because I saw what happens when you lead from the heart, because that's the example that Brenda set for her organization.
That's amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that story. What an incredible. Okay, I'm going to ask the question that everybody is talking about. Let's bring into the equation AI.
Yes.
Where is this future going?
Here's what I see, and this is my hope for the future of AI. My hope for the future of artificial intelligence is that AI, and the one thing that artificial intelligence can't do is it cannot replicate the heart, right? But at the same time, understand that artificial intelligence is the reason why they call it artificial intelligence, is because it's learning from us. And if we are teaching artificial intelligence the right things, the heart things, the empathic things, the emotional things, the need to care, the need to do the right thing, we're essentially training artificial intelligence to ultimately do the right humanistic thing, right? So when I think about the future of artificial intelligence, and I know there's a bunch of people who are sort of doom and gloom, I think AI is a wonderful thing. I don't like the fact that AI is potentially erasing, potentially going to erase jobs. But I do like the fact that the greatest aspect that we have as human beings is our ability to evolve. We never thought we'd get away from the typewriters, and here we are on computers.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of our ability to evolve, understand that instead of artificial intelligence being seen as, Terminator and the, Skynet and all that stuff, as I've seen people talk about, the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, I think that artificial intelligence can be something that will be, not only will greatly enhance us, but imagine that you now have these tools at your disposal that not only help you to do your job more effectively, but they help you to do your job so effectively that now it frees up time to actually do the things that matter. Spending time with your loved ones, meditating, reading, bring up your ability to actually live. And we talk about this all the time in the United States, how there's no such thing as work-life balance. Why? because we have so much paperwork that bogs us down that by the time that we get home, we're so exhausted, we can't function. Now imagine you can do your job, you have something that's helping you to do your job, and it frees you up to do what matters the most, the thing that you're going to think about on your deathbed. It ain't gonna be the next report, it's gonna be how much you actually loved everybody and how much you're gonna miss them. Mm.
So artificial
Yes,
intelligence plus human intelligence is the winning success factor. And now
absolutely.
that's scalable. Because
Yes.
ultimately, if you implement AI, you're going to be able to automate a lot of those unnecessary tasks, which you or your teams don't love doing, and to really focus on activities that move the needle and really create joy in the workplace.
Well, and I'm glad you said that because one of the areas or one of the industries that people don't talk enough about is the impact that artificial intelligence is having and will have on the human resources industry. Because what they're finding is that when you look at the great layoffs that happen, and when I say great, I'm not talking in terms of it being a good thing. I'm talking in terms of the volumes of people who got laid off just here in 2024, especially in the tech sector. When you look at the layoffs or the great layoffs, the vast majority of those people got laid off were human resources professionals, but they weren't chief human resources officers. They weren't, you know, HR managers. They were generalists. They were folks who typically spend a lot of their time doing the paperwork and the services that artificial intelligence could ultimately automate. Now, imagine you can actually free those people up to do the thing that I hear employees complain about the most. Human resources is supposed to be about us, but
Mhm.
they spend more of their time shuffling paperwork than they actually do coming out to the floor and talking to us. Now, imagine you have time to actually go out there and do the employee relations function of your human resources profession. That makes HR that much more valuable at the board table. That makes HR that much more valuable in terms of their voice because now they are actually speaking for the people and they're that conduit to the executives.
Absolutely. And in that way, HR spans the organization, becomes a
Yes,
strategic resource, and puts the people at the center.
exactly.
Absolutely love. Okay, so what is the mission for you from here?
I want to take I have so many missions, right? I want to continue to grow Greer Consulting to the point where we're not only in the top 5%, but we're legitimately leading the market. That's one. The other mission that I have that's really central to my heart is I am now creating a coaching business. And I coach through my business, through my current business. I coach, I always say I coach the kings and queens of multiple industries. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But I see this new group of emerging leaders who are coming up, young leaders who are excited, who want to take over the world, but they don't necessarily have the mentoring necessary because unfortunately, COVID messed up a lot of processes. And one of those processes that I think that COVID messed up was I can't tell you how much time, how much it meant to me when seasoned leaders would spend time talking to me in their offices or spend time. We sit around drinking coffee. I don't even like coffee, but I didn't care. If they like coffee, I would drink coffee and I would actually be able to absorb their knowledge and it helped me to grow. So, and unfortunately, because of COVID, because especially with so many people being remote, a lot of leaders are not getting that mentorship that they need, young leaders. So that's my next mission is to grow this new base of young consultants, this new base of young leaders, and to give them everything that I have to offer while also giving them additional resources from people who have achieved greater things than me and really growing them so that they will be ready to take over this industry when it's time for old folks like me at age 50 to go ahead and retire.
Amazing. And we wish you every success on that mission.
Hey,
Um,
thank you. Thank you so much.